What is up, guys? Lucas with ProducePerform.com. We're back with another video. In this video, we're going to talk about gain staging. It's insanely important. I avoided it for the longest time, and it actually gave myself more headaches. So I'm going to show you guys how to do it properly. Well, do it the way that I do it, I guess. And then whenever you get later down the mix, you'll thank yourself, because then you won't be fighting yourself from what you did or didn't do earlier. But before we do that real quick, grab the mixing cheat sheet below. It is made for live recorded worship music. It's a bunch of EQ and compression starting points to get you started in case you're new, or maybe you just want a refresher, or you just want to have it next to you, just a quick glance on how you can get started with those EQ points. So check that out down below, absolutely free. Okay, so let's dive into it. Let me get my headphones on. So often I get a track sent like this, and, I open it up, and, I get all the tracks laid out, I get it all laid out, and then I play it like, here where there's the band is full in or something, and it's clipping like crazy. So don't want that. And, what I would do is I would frantically start pulling down all of these, like trying to get a mix going. That is actually not what I would normally do. So, and that's not what I have been doing. So step number one, or more like option number one, what you can do is you can come in here and you can start to gain these down until, you get like a good reading on the level. And so what I like to go for, and I've actually switched to recording this way, so that whenever I even get to this stage, if I'm doing the recording, I don't even have to gain stage these down, because it's already like that in the recording. And I actually did this to this recording. I'll show you in a second. So, so on this real quick, just in case someone sent it to me, which, other people have, is, they like to have the kick like hitting hard, and they think that you need to have record almost as close to zero as possible. That is a lie. I mean, I get doing it back then because you're trying to avoid noise and everything, but since everything's digital, everything's so clean now, all the preamps and everything, you don't really need to do that anymore. So what I like to record or get the actual RMS level and the peak level in between is roughly -18 to -12. And so I'll show you that real quick. So on Studio One, it shows you the fader level here, but if you throw it into record mode, which is what we're going to do with the vocal real quick, you'll see on this side, these numbers change. And so I'll hit it one more time. You see all these numbers here. So 0 is all the way up here. And so what I'm saying when I say -12 and -24, this is the record level that you're now getting. I want to hit in between -12 and -24, like pretty much the main part of the time. And what that does is that actually leaves room for them to get a little bit louder, because especially in a live worship recording, you just, it's not in a very controlled environment as it is, compared to a recording studio. So whenever you're actually recording, you want to aim for that level, because it just leaves you so much room, and it's a good solid signal. But then you're also thinking about it on the back end, where whenever you pull stuff in, you're not going to be clipping. But just in case, maybe you didn't do the recording, maybe somebody else did the recording and they're sending it to you to mix, which is often what I do nowadays. People just send me files. And so what I like to do is I like to come in here and I'll just listen to it. So let's not do the vocal because it's not tuned or anything. But yeah, so let's just listen to this electric here. And you see how it's not bad, but it's a little loud. Like I already know it's going to be a little loud. And so I can already start kind of like pre-mixing with this. So I'll bring this down, 4 or 5 dB. And I know that that's going to sit a lot better. And so I'll go through and do this on all of the tracks. And most DAWs have this. They all have a clip gain and stuff like that. But what Studio One also has, which is very cool, I already have it pulled up. You can see at the top of each channel here in the mixing view, there is a polarity switch and it also has a trim knob. Like and they call it input gain. It's literally just a trim knob. And if this isn't showing up for you, and you have Studio One, you want to come over here to this wrench icon on the left, and you're going to want to tag or check mark input controls. So if you see I take it away, put it in, now you have these input controls. And basically what this is doing is basically it's controlling the gain stage coming from the audio file that's on your timeline before it hits the plugin. So it's pre-plugins, which is why it's above the inserts here. And so like say like just for the bass, like that's a pretty hot bass level. And so instead of coming into the clip gain and messing with all that, you can actually just come in here and just pull it down a little bit. And of course you can, double click and do like, -6. And so what actually I will do sometimes is, if this will let me, it didn't let me the other day, but we're gonna try this real quick. So I'll come in. So I got to exclude any groups I have here. So I'll come in and see. No, it's not letting me do it. Okay, so sometimes yeah, there it goes. So you can highlight all these, and I'll just do like -6. So this one changed to -12, but go back to -6. And so now everything is, -6 dB. And so now we can see what our master looks like here. Much better. Like that's a great mixing starting point. We're not clipping. The peaks are around -2, -3. So I would come down probably a little bit more than that, but that's even just a quick way to do it. And then you can start messing with the faders. But alternatively, ideally you want to actually record it at a much lower level, because what happens is when you get later into the mix, this happened to me actually a couple weeks ago. I didn't even follow my own rule a couple weeks ago, is I had a mix that I had to get done. It was like a mix. They were like, we need it done within 72 hours. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll get you a first mix today so that you guys can give me revisions. We can move the process, further along. And so I didn't really do a gain staging. I just kind of threw it in my template and just started mixing. Well, the issue was I was getting near the end of the mix. I was like 80% of the way, 70% of the way there, something like that. And I was realizing I need the vocals to cut out more. I need them to be on top. And they weren't. And I didn't have any headroom. Now, if you guys don't understand headroom, it's basically the amount of room that you have to play with to add volume, to add more content. And so whenever I play this, you can see we've got 2 or 3 dB of peak headroom and probably like 4 or 5 dB of RMS headroom. And I couldn't push it anymore without it either distorting or sounding bad, or it would make the compressor on the mix bus to sound funny, or it was like I would have to do some sort of side chain compression that I didn't really want to do. I would have just I would have solved all these problems if I would have just gain stage properly. And so then I had to go back and I had to gain stage some of the instruments, which sucks because then that means I had to go and adjust the compressors. I had to go and adjust anything that is headroom related to how it sounds, which basically means it's like, if it's hitting a tape machine, a fake, a tape emulation plugin, or if it's hitting a compressor a certain way, and I want to compress it 7 dB on this particular thing. Well, I had to go back in and change the input and output controls because I didn't gain stage properly. So you guys have to do this before you guys actually start mixing, because you'll get into a spot to where you end up adding more work for yourself, and you should have just done it in the first place. And I get it. Like, I like to mix aggressively. I like to kind of push the envelope a little bit. But if you don't start pulled back, there's only so much headroom. There's only so many ones and zeros the computer can handle. So, so I wanted to show you guys. So let me, oh, this is the wrong one. Hold on. I have too many, I have too many things open right now. Okay. Anyways, I was going to show that to you guys, but this is perfect example. So this is what I would do if I had a thing. But whenever I pulled this session in originally, it actually wasn't clipping. It was sitting around, about where it is now, maybe a little bit higher, and that's great. Like that's a big win for me. And if you're recording out of a console that you guys usually use on a Sunday, you guys probably should be backing off those gains anyway to give you guys room to because you don't want the vocal to clip. You don't want the drums to clip or anything like that because otherwise it's just going to end up making things harder on the back end. The only thing is like sometimes I will actually go in and clip gain things down even like further. So like there's this pad here. You can see it gets really heavy near the end where the chorus is hitting and they're all digging in and it sounds huge. I would honestly clip gain this down more, just knowing that when I get into the mixing stage, like the actual mixing stage, I would clip this down a lot because I know I'm not going to want that to be a big part of the mix. It's just filling space. So we'll just listen to that. And see, it sounds great, but that's already going to be too loud. And so you can actually save time mixing if you kind of know that like, oh yeah, this pad, I know it's not going to be front and center. So let me just gain it back quite a bit. So then when you drop it into like, if you have a template or if you have a process for mixing, you drop it in, it's already going to kind of mix itself. And then that makes mixing more fun because what I like to do is the gain staging, the editing, the vocal tuning. I don't like to do that at the same time I am mixing because those aren't really creative. I mean, vocal tuning kind of, but for the most part, the editing, the gain staging, any other form of stuff that you have to do before you get to the fun part. You want to do all that before you start mixing because whenever you're in that mixing mindset, that creative mindset, you don't want to be pulled back into an editing mindset like I gotta click around and do this, or I gotta remember how to readjust or time align this. If you start getting pulled out of that, you're actually going to lose your kind of I don't know how you want to put it, but like the creative mindset that you have going into mixing, because mixing is creative, it's musical. There's an element of like you're basically part of the team, like you are a musician moving the faders around and the pans and everything. Like it's a very creative process. It's not just science. And I mean, it is a lot of science. Anyways, you guys get what I'm saying. And so the gain staging is so important because you don't want to have to go back in the middle of your creativity and have to think critically rather than creatively. So, which is critical. That was the word I was trying to think of. Did a poor job of doing that. Anyways, I hope this helps, guys. I hope this gives you a good tip. I hope it saves you time from just endless mixing of like, oh gosh, I got to pull this down because I mixed it too loud in the beginning. Yeah. So don't skip gain staging. It's super important. Don't be like me 2 weeks ago, even though I was in a rush and I thought, oh, it'll be fine. It's never fine because I think I've done that about like 20 times now in the past few years where I've like pulled it up and I'm like, oh, it'll be okay. I'll still be able to make it work. And I didn't make it work. I had to go back. And so learn this lesson because it's important. So anyways, thank you guys for checking out the video. Like, subscribe, all that cool stuff. And don't forget about the mixing cheat sheet down below. And of course, let me know if there's any content you guys would like me to do videos on. I'd be happy to. And I will see you guys next week.